my chief researcher and also in charge of national security and global wars and everything else that we have to look at. He has extensive background in military intelligence, and that's why military intelligence is a joke because Jason was involved in it. But he was also, you were never the lead of my detail, right? Of my protective detail?
I was never the lead, but I was the manager on your detail, and yeah. I'd led many other details in the past.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm still alive today is Jason was not in charge of the detail. But
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
I will tell you that we have had many dealings with Secret Service, and without getting into any of the details, but I would be willing to testify on it. The Secret Service is, in my view, inept. There's nothing against the agents or anything. I think that the people who run it, they rely on money and technology, and they just don't think. And we have seen things that could get people killed, quite honestly. We've experienced it with the Secret Service ourselves. And I've been warning about this for a very, very long time. Now, Jason, you have actually planned events like this with the Secret Service. You have been with major politicians and done major events, not only with me, but with others, and worked side by side with the Secret Service. How could this have happened?
I'm glad you had me on today, Glenn, because I saw a lot of speculation. I think it's important to understand how these things happen. Like, how did we get to where we got to on Saturday? And I just want to briefly run down. I'm going to reveal a few tricks of the trade here. I think it's good for crazy people and potential attackers to know this as well, to know how difficult it is. It should be almost impossible to pull off what happened on Saturday. But as you know, Glenn, you've seen this work. An advanced team is always sent out. And this is copied from the Secret Service level all the way down to the governor's protection details, all the way to public officials or personalities like yourself. But an advanced team would go out. The Secret Service would go out weeks in advance. They'd go out and they would set up a multi-tiered security plan. So basically, like, let's say you see a president on a rope line and he's shaking hands and, patting people on the back. That's political smoke and mirrors. Those are not people that just randomly showed up. Those are friends, family, highly trusted people that have been vetted. That takes a little bit of the sexiness out, but that's the same way as when Donald Trump is on a stage. The people right in front of him are supposed to be there. They've been given access. They have a wristband or a lanyard. They're wanded. They're checked. They're fully vetted, trusted people right in front of them. Then there's another tier beyond that. They're usually high-level donors. They're also very, very trusted, vetted. They've been searched. Then once you get beyond that, there's not 1,000 Secret Service agents out there. So they have to delegate to law enforcement officers, local law enforcement officers, SWAT, just regular beat cops. They designated those areas. Now, as all this planning's happening, they also identify further out threats, and they identify sectors of fire, positions of fire, potential sniper positions, going all the way out to like 1,000 yards. A 130-yard sniper position, absolutely, which is where this attacker was, would have been identified. And there would have been several designated, they would say, this is Alpha position, this is Bravo position, whatever. They would go through them so that they can quickly address the situation. Now, they would also, in this advanced plan, they would have local law enforcement guarding those areas to make sure no one would gain access to those areas. And they would be in contact with the Secret Service. Now, there's multiple different questions here that need to be asked, as you said, in full transparency. Knowing this entire complex plan, A, did the Secret Service designate those sniper positions as they always do and as they're supposed to? Now, let's assume they did. The second question, did law enforcement adequately man those positions? It does not appear so on the videos that we've seen. I mean, we've got tailgaters, basically, screaming at law enforcement. The only thing missing was like a couple of beer cans hanging off their helmets, and they're chugging down beers. It's basically what it was. They were like, hey, look over there. There's a guy climbing up there. Right. He's got a rifle. How did no one respond? That breaks the entire plan. There should have been a law enforcement officer or officers watching it.
So there's also the fact that when you have a position like that, first of all, that position, if it was left open, they keep saying, well, it wasn't part of the secure perimeter. It was 130 yards away. You know, when you are on rooftops and sniper positions, you don't have to be on just the building right across the street. You can be watching all of the rooftops all the way around that have any kind of angle at that street. So not only should they have had somebody there, or at least had a team around, and it looks like they had local police, and I don't know if local police failed, but they also, when you have a position like that, and for instance, there's woods in this same venue area, you always put up something that blocks the view. So you would go up on that roof and you would say, okay, there is the podium, so let's put up a big screen or a big sign or something that blocks that view from that position. They didn't do that either.
Yeah, to say as an excuse that it was outside the secured perimeter is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe someone would say that. I've been at events where Secret Service was there, where there was a river hundreds of yards away, but they still had local law enforcement driving Zodiacs up and down the river because they were worried about potential snipers coming from a boat. That was not inside the perimeter, but that was a potential firing position that they had identified. Now, that's the key right here. They would have identified all these positions, especially 130 yards with a clear line of sight to the president. That would have been identified. There would have been a team of law enforcement officers, or should have been, protecting that area. Now, did they leave that? This is the second question. First question was, did Secret Service identifying them? I'm assuming they did. Second question, did law enforcement adequately man those positions? Third, and this is probably the scariest part of the question, was there a law enforcement officer there? Was there help given to the shooter? Now, this is not a conspiracy theory. It's a question. It needs to be asked because we heard people saying there's the shooter. No one did anything about it. So look, this has to be done in full transparency. Can you imagine, Glenn, in the JFK assassination, all these weird things that happened, right? You have, let's just say during the JFK assassination, there were cell phones and camera phones. And they're like, again, with their beers and their helmets going, look at that. And they're filming the grassy knoll. And they're like, hey, officer, there's guys in the grassy knoll. they have fedoras on, and they have sniper rifles. Yeah. And they're about to shoot. Like, can you imagine if we had all of this evidence? What would the conspiracy theories be like then? This is what we have right now. We need to ask these questions. It's very, very rational to do so.
So we're about to have Dallas Alexander on. Do you know who he is?
Oh, yeah.
Jason?
Very, very famous sniper.
Okay.
Yep.
So he's a sniper, and he says there's no way this happened without help. I don't want to go there. I don't want to believe that. Because that takes us into an entirely different world.
Yeah.
Do you believe that is a realistic possibility?
Okay, I think it is a possibility. There are also the other random possibilities that it was just lackadaisical security by the local law enforcement. In my opinion, I'm not jabbing law enforcement, but I don't think they make great security guards because they're primarily reactionary. The Secret Service aspect of security like that is not reactionary. It is preventing the attack before it happens. But law enforcement as a security guard is not great.
It's why the shooter, which I don't believe was a Secret Service sniper, may have only shot after shots were fired. You know what I mean? Where Secret Service, you're in Secret Service, you have permission, you see a guy with a gun pointed at the president, shoot him before he shoots.
Right.
Where law enforcement would need the permission to shoot unless he shot first, would they not?
That's exactly right. The Secret Service is a different mindset than other law enforcement. Basically, they don't manage a situation with a firearm. If you see a Secret Service with a firearm, it typically means someone's getting shot. Law enforcement is completely different. But I will not rule out the fact that it could just be very lax security. Maybe they were big Trump fans. Maybe they're not fans at all. Maybe it was the exact opposite, and they weren't as vigilant as they could have been, and someone was able to sneak over there. That is possible. But the most random things in assassinations happen. Who would have known that Sirhan, a Palestinian activist, would have been posing as or blending in with hotel staff and would have been in the right place at the right time and caught RFK going through that private areas. You've been through those areas yourself, going through public events. It's chaotic. Who would have known? Things like that happen. Who would have thought that a crazed Hinckley would have, looking to gain the support of Jodie Foster, had no political ideology at all, just was a crazy guy looking to impress a movie star, would have been able to get to Ronald Reagan. These things do happen.
I want to ask you about the things that are being said now about the shooter that we really don't know who he is. I don't believe that for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
If so, what the hell is the CIA and NSA doing with all of the eavesdropping on all of our communication?
Yeah.
I don't believe that at all. And this ruse, this lie that, well, we just don't know. We don't know anything about him. We don't. It smells of the Nashville shooter. Mm. Now, it's still early, but if they don't come out with the full detail on this guy, they're going to lose all credibility. And then where are we?